The second application we'll go over this week is the image swapper. And this is where we simply click on a thumbnail and make the main image occur inside here. So this one uses no timer, but it will use links and images, and once again we'll need to cache and preload some images. Okay, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to open up swap.js, and once again I'm going to take my JavaScript code and I'm going to put it in the HTML just for ease of use, so we can look at both the HTML and the JavaScript together to get a good feel of what we're trying to achieve. So inside here, I'm pasting my code, and once again you will see the usestrict command at the top. Just as an overview, I'm going to be doing a video on this, but usestrict will throw errors that wouldn't ordinarily occur. They're not just errors in syntax, but errors in form. Also, it will throw warnings and notices if we have unused variables, and it's a good thing to use when we're linting our code to make sure that our code is not only as well written as possible, but as efficient as possible. So let's start from top to bottom again. Once again, we have this variable $sign that equals the function and returns the document getElementById. That means every time we want to grab an ID, we can simply use the $sign. And that is definitely a preview of what will occur in jQuery. Now, similar to the rotating gallery, we have our variable declarations. Notice that we have a window.onload and then the closure function. There's definitely some similarities between this code and the code for the timer, or for the time slideshow. It's just that this has no timer. But it is similar. Everything you see in line 13, 14, 15, and 17, this has all been done, and it's commented out. Once again, we have our looping around the image links, which is great, and we have our preloading of the image, and we're going to get the ahref tags. Now, a quick glimpse at our HTML shows that we have a very similar list, only this time we have two different sets of values. We have thumbnails and then the larger images. So if we go to thumbnails here, we can see our thumbnails are very tiny, and then we can see our larger images, which have a tremendous amount of space to them. So we are separating the images, and there's an example of a thumbnail. Just as an FYI, if you're in the Mesa Community College program, when we get to PHP class, we'll be using the same image and thumbnailing the same images. So there would be no need to keep a thumbnails folder of smaller images and large images. We can use a server-sided language to reproduce and resize images without having to have new files that would bloat and weigh down our server. But that's in a upcoming course. If you've already taken PHP, then you know what I'm talking about. But if not, it's an exciting thing to learn. So our HTML, as you can see, is almost the same, except it does have those thumbnails. And then it has the href tag that goes to the larger image. So here's ahref image deer, and there's the thumbnail deer as an example. So when we go through this, for each one of these links, we're preloading and getting the attribute for each one of these, and then assembling an on-click handler. This is where jQuery will excel. It has an excellent set of event listeners that are easily applied to any element at all. So here's the function, and EVT, which is passing an event of everything. Now, we've already done this, but just for kicks, I'm going to console.log the EVT and give you a quick reminder of what this does. So now I'm going to go into my console so we can see it. I'll hit refresh, and now we can click on elements. And as you can see, that's a mouse event. And if I scroll up here, you can see everything about it. It even has the pathway of where it is in the DOM. So that event is passing all that data. The reason why we want to use it is because we want to do the prevent default, which was also covered earlier, but is so confusing. I'm going to grab it again. So basically, if there is no event, the variable event equals window event. That is a backup. That's a fallback. And that will affect older versions of Internet Explorer. But right now, this will have an event. Even IE9 started with the event variable. So we have that ability. If you're on IE8, then this line would come in handy, but very few people have that browser as of the creation of this video. So this is the finding the image node. Remember, the image node is equal to the main image. And we're making the source equal to whatever the attribute is. So if any of those links are clicked, the source of our main image equals that. At that point, we have the new picture inside the main image. And this is the caption, and this is the exact same code as in the rotating slideshow. So we're just saying, okay, let's make the caption and the first child of that, which is equal to this, equal to the link, each link get attribute the title. So once again, we're grabbing the title tag of each element. So where's my links? There we go. That's like right now, that's why when I do, there's deer at play, the big one, grazing bison, etc. So all these title tags are being placed in that section. Okay, so what is the default action of the event? Well, if we have the access to that property, which all the browsers do, we will prevent the default. Otherwise, the function of returning false would be false. So basically, this allows us to keep the thumbnails going and not overriding any thumbnail. So you see how quickly this works? So as I go through here, you'll see that the prevent default is preventing me from overriding the loading of one of these links. But you have to go really fast to see it. But the event object's prevent default method simply keeps something from happening. We use it in JavaScript form validation when we don't want a form to submit. That's the default event of a submit button. So we're preventing that from submitting. In this case, we want to make sure this thumbnail image loads on click and doesn't get overridden by another one. There's one more thing that is important here, and that is this guy right here. This sets the focus in the first image link. And I don't know how important it is, but at least it gives a call to action on most browsers. Because you can see the blue outline, that means there's a focus placed on that image. Anyway, these two applications that we just went through can definitely be improved and made more efficient through the use of the jQuery event listeners. And that's why it's the last part of the JavaScript that we're going through, the part that's Chapter 7 on the 3rd edition of the textbook. Chapter 7 doesn't exist in the first version. And that's the reason why we're going with these two applications for this week. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.